This week, the Valor Flight Crew podcast welcomes Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Aviation.
At least this is my personal experience. Early on in my career, mistakes were something that I was terrified of. And only through flying and on the critical care side, you really start to appreciate and understand mistakes. Mistakes are learning opportunities, and I value every time that something doesn't go exactly the way I wanted it to go, because it helped me for the next time. And we can't be scared to understand that mistakes happen. Obviously, we work in high risk fields where your mistake could be detrimental to patient care. And we need to strive to always do what's right for the patient.
Welcome back to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, hosted by Echo and brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Valor Plus. In this episode, we sit down with Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Department for a grounded, real-world conversation about EMS, aviation, and the communities we serve. From the challenges of aircraft operations in a small, seasonal tourist town to the life-saving impact of air medical partnerships, Ken shares the realities of delivering critical care where resources are limited, but expectations are high. We talk about the importance of strong relationships between ground and air crews, the evolving balance between scene responses and interfacility transfers, and how innovations like pre-hospital blood products are changing patient outcomes. Ken also opens up about the ongoing struggles with retention and burnout in EMS, and why community connection, outreach, and education are more important than ever. It's a conversation about teamwork, trust, and the constant push to move patients faster, safer, and smarter, without losing sight of the people behind the mission. So strap in, check your gauges, and join us as we lift off into another story from the front lines of public safety aviation. Thank you to our sponsors, Airbus, Precision Aviation Group, and Metro Aviation.
Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicast, produced in partnership with Echo, Every Coast Helicopter Operations. The Valor Flight Crew podcast promotes the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Join hosts Mike Fideli and Blake Schreider for in-depth interviews and expert insights from air medical personnel, pilots, communication specialists, and maintenance crews who play critical roles in airborne emergency response.
Line 1 accepting.
Copy, Line 1, gotcha, accepting. You're going to be talking to Red Feather 1 on LCEMS.
Welcome back to the Valor Flight Crew podcast. As always, your host, Blake Schreider and Mike Fideli. How are you today, Blake?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I am doing great. I am counting down the days, the shifts, the minutes at this point until vacation this week. So I cannot wait to get out of this weather. I cannot wait to be somewhere tropical and be cruising around on a ship on the Caribbean.
Yeah, what, like 3 days?
Something like that. Two more shifts. 24
man.
more hours I got to get through. Yeah, exactly. A lot I got to get done before then, but I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait for much.
Good for you, man. You deserve it.
Since you couldn't provide anything for me down in Florida when I was down there. So
hey, man, we tried.
I don't think you did. 30-degree weather is not trying. So I got to get my fix somewhere else.
Feel like you're at home.
30 degrees in Florida. That's 30 degrees in Florida. That's not right.
No, it is not right at all. But before vacation, we have to get some awesome podcasts in. We got another great one for you today. Today, we're bringing in Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire in Big Bear Lake, California. Ken, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great here. Like I said, I'm on cloud nine. I'm in that coasting mode. So
he's already in vacation mode.
He's already skating.
Appreciate you carving out some time for us before you leave on a boat and sail far away somewhere.
Well, I threatened to do a couple of the podcasts, from the balcony of the boat, but wouldn't be able to get my banner and all the other fun stuff down there. So
missed opportunity, but not too late to plan something.
Certainly true. We're looking forward to having this discussion today, Ken. So Ken, you are a paramedic with Big Bear Fire. Is that correct?
I am, and thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Always fun to kind of share what we're doing out here out west, since it sounds like you guys are out east.
Yeah.
So it's always fun. Yeah, but so I've been with the Big Bear Fire Department for since about 2018 is when I joined Big Bear, and joined Big Bear specifically to open our aviation division. and I was with a county fire department prior to that, and then this aviation opportunity came to open, and so yeah, I've been with Big Bear ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool looking around. I shouldn't say really cool. It was really difficult looking around, trying to find some information on Big Bear Fire Aviation Department online. You guys don't have too much of a social footprint, and so when I started learning a little bit more about the program, we got to speak on the phone. I was like, this would be an awesome to bring to our listeners and do a bit of a program highlight, talk about your career in general, and about the services that you guys are providing out there. But yeah, it's not easy to find you guys online.
Yeah, we're a hidden little gem.
Yeah.
No, so we definitely have an Instagram page because how can you not? So hashtag Big Bear Fire H285 on Instagram. But yeah, no. We're a small department. We staff on any given day out of 3 fire stations. We run an engine and 2 engines in a truck. We run 3 ambulances, and we run between 3,000 and 4,000 calls a year. So we're a smaller fire department in terms of volume and personnel. The fun aspect of where we are is, we're in Southern California, in the mountains of Southern California, and we're so close, but yet so far from everything. And so, it's a small resort community. We have 3 ski resorts in our area, and so our year-round population is only anywhere between 15 and 18,000, kind of in that range, I think. But on this upcoming holiday weekend, it's going to go up well over 100,000 into the valley, and so. Ooh. It's a really unique system that has to deal with really wild swings in population. We have 1 critical access hospital in town, and any significant level of services are outside of town. And so on a good day, we can get in a ground ambulance, we can get to our level 1 trauma centers. It takes about between 75 to 90 minutes by ground. And we can do that same flight in about 12 minutes. And so it's been a really good opportunity, but we're not that big. So when we opened up aviation in 2018, it was a joint partnership, kind of with a private provider, with the fire department, and as well as our local hospital. And so it was really trying to bring a service to the area, to serve our citizens as best we can, and then obviously we have a lot of tourist influence as well.
Rock on.
It sounds like you have a lot of good stakeholders. Obviously, there's such a need, like you said, to go from 18,000 to 100,000. Just with holiday weekends and people coming in. I mean, that's such an insane influx, and I think when you think about that's got to be hard to just try to plan and make sure you have enough services for your residents and visitors.
Yeah.
So it really shows that it takes all those community stakeholders to kind of have a piece of the pie and really make sure everyone stays safe.
Yeah, it does, right? And so serving the community obviously is our number 1 priority. Being able to do that is always going to be the challenge, right? And over the years, the department has developed mechanisms to expand and contract, and so we staff 3 ambulances on any given day, and then we'll cross staff 3 additional ones, and the engine and ambulance kind of run as a life force to calls as necessary, because we don't need 6 ambulances every day, but certain times of certain days
you need them.
Exactly. So it's certainly a challenge. And then the other side of it is, because we have a critical access hospital in town, all those patients, if they're not discharged, not all, but a significant majority of them are going to have to go to inpatient care somewhere. They can admit a small number of patients here locally, but either you kind of get discharged or you get transferred. And so that's where we've come in on the aviation side, and obviously the ground side is heavily involved. So it's a balancing act for sure. But I think that the wildest thing for me is the reduction in transport times for these patients. Is I mean, in the best road conditions, ground is 75 to 90 minutes to our level 1. There, it is not uncommon for on a snowy holiday for that drive to be 3 to 4 hours minimum. Because you're talking chained up ambulances. We have to chain up all the apparatus, so you got to down chain on the way down the mountain with an intubated train wreck in the back of the ambulance.
Oh, man.
And so,
man,
by the way, I'll tell you, vents love the vibrations of chains. I mean, just they sing about it the whole way down.
I was going to say,
I bet they do.
How thrilled they are.
I bet they do.
So yeah, it's but getting everybody involved, all the stakeholders, keeping the community well served, it's certainly the priority, and I think we've done it pretty effectively.
I'm certainly looking forward to finding out more about the program there and how you guys do what you do, because it sounds like it's planes, trains, and automobiles, depending on the circumstances down there. So, before we kind of get into it, do you mind just sharing a bit of an impactful call from your career, maybe that has really kind of helped shape the provider that you are today?
So in terms of impactful calls, right? It's quick. It's easy to go to some just horrific cutter of a trauma call. Those are kind of the default ones that always kind of leave impactful moments. I think there's a couple calls I can certainly think about. We had a patient that was a out of hospital cardiac arrest that was successfully resuscitated in the field. Taken to us, and then for us to then fly to our local PCI STEMI center. Mm-hmm. And a patient got to us and had been well managed in the field, and we get loaded or about to get loaded in the helicopter, and as happens, that's when that one little light comes on that says we're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so
Blake knows all about that all too well.
Yes.
And so it was a matter of making some quick decisions of what we're going to do. We ended up staying in the ambulance and driving quickly to a local to our local PCI hospital, which is about an hour a different direction, and the whole way down he was altered, but remarkably stable for as sick as he was a few minutes earlier. Patient had ultimately a very positive outcome. It was that kind of patient where you got there and they're like, he did what on the what? But I was fortunate enough. The spouse of the patient actually found me on social media and was able to kind of send me some updates, and we were able to keep in touch through his kind of progression and recovery. And man, that we were there just to facilitate the transport. I mean, the guys on the ground did all the active resuscitation, and so it was really a team effort to have this guy have such a positive outcome. But being able to follow up with family and understand the impact that kind of has, I mean, it was remarkable. And it really, I mean, from the flight crew standpoint, we didn't do a whole heck of a lot. All the hard work had been done as many times as it happens. A lot of that hard work had been done before we got there. So the impactfulness is really just kind of seeing the outcome. Right. And being able to attach, a person's survival to at least being involved in that care. So that's really impactful. I think in general, what impacts me here locally is that we've got we've got such a small community. I can think of a number of people that I see on a regular basis who we have flown. One of the clerks at the local market where we do our grocery shopping has been flown at least once, if not twice, and I'm able to interact with her on a common frequency,
Yeah.
and that is impactful right there. We're able to, I mean, keep up with some of our patients just because it is such a small community and it's so tight knit, and that's really impactful. I mean, many of the vast majority of our patients we're never going to have contact with again. I mean, that's just the nature of the job. Right. But when you do, I mean, that's the most gratifying thing that I can think of doing the job.
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140 plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
And I think we all have, so, you know, we've had this story or this kind of format and being able to have an impactful story with our guests when we come on and start the podcast that way. And we often hear that it's those stories where we have that reconnection with our patients afterwards, right? Or we are able to build like some kind of relationship. I think the not having the ability to build a relationship is, you know, both a blessing and a curse sometimes, right? But
yeah.
But I think whenever we have those impactful moments, those ones that really kind of, you know, hit home, it's always those ones where we're able to make that connection with our patients. And it sounds like you guys have quite that connection, not just with the patients, but the community out there to be able to have that ongoing relationship. So that's really awesome.
It's unique, and the number one questions that our guys on the ground have as they hand off patients afterwards is, hey, can you let me know how they do on the way, or, you know, what the outcome is? Because I think at some level, whether you're on the ground or in the air, or wherever you are in the patient care continuum, you want to know how the patient how'd they do, and that follow up, it's important, and I think really puts a lot of stuff in perspective.
So Ken, you know, you've had quite a career in EMS so far. Obviously, you didn't just get into EMS in 2018 when you started Big Bear. So if you can kind of walk us through some of your history there, but what was it attracted you to being in EMS, and when did you really know that, you know, like, all right, this opportunity came up, I want to be a flight clinician? And what was that kind of journey for you?
That journey was completely by accident. It was
it's kind of hard to get on a helicopter by accident. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
The EMS part was by accident. Everything else has been a struggle bus since then.
All right, I can buy the EMS part, because, you know, that bug tends to bite all of us at one point in our life.
It's true.
So many moons ago, I was working a retail management job out here, and my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, was in nursing school. It's a tale as old as time, but so she was in nursing school, and I was working this retail management job, and the conversation was, hey, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't know. And so she had recommended, like, hey, you know, you could try EMT school. I went, yeah, sure, I'll try EMT school. And I did the cursory, you know, 5-10 minutes of research into what that would take, and I signed up at the local community college and signed up, and it's funny. I was a fine student going through high school and into college, but certainly nothing to write home about, because there was I it sounded, for lack of better words, didn't care, right? Yeah. I went, all right, you know, we're taking this class, whatever it is. And I remember the first class or two at Glendale Community College in their EMT program, and I was immediately hooked. And I came into EMS knowing absolutely nothing about it. I mean, really, the cursory 10-minute search is really all I had done ahead of time, and I was immediately hooked. And I had an EMT instructor who we keep in touch to this day. Her name was Memory Carver, and she made me care. right? And she's like, yeah, this is what you should care about. So again, having done 10 minutes of research into EMS, I didn't really know what the professional outcomes were, right? What am I shooting for here? And so I remember one time we're in lecture, and the lead instructor goes, raise your hand if you're here to be a firefighter one day. 90% of the class raised their hand. And who here wants to go into flight? And the other 9.5% raised their hand. And then he's like, all right, who's here to, work on an ambulance? And I'm the only guy who raised my hand. I was like, wait, is this the wrong answer?
Am I in the wrong class?
Am I what is, I thought that's what, is that why we're all
here? Right.
And so, long story short, or long story slightly shorter, I was hooked from the beginning. And when you find something that you truly feel passionate about, it is a light switch that just clicks. And I feel very confident that EMS is one of those professions you got to be passionate about. You have to want 100%. to do this. Because it's generally speaking not for the money. It's occasionally for the schedule, but probably not for the schedule. You have to want to do it. And I truly believe that. So worked a couple years as an EMT out here in the Inland Empire part of Southern California. And ended up going to paramedic school in 2011, and had a fantastic experience. So good that I now teach at that paramedic school, because that's how good of an experience I had. And so, I worked private ambulance for a while, and then ended up working as a single function paramedic in our local fire department. And I've been in the fire service for pretty much the entirety of my paramedic career, and I've avoided the fire side of the fire service for the entire time.
You'd never guessed it by the mustache there.
I know, right? Yeah. First thing, I was like, that is a fireman's mustache,
right?
All day, like without question.
One of the fringe benefits of getting to work for a fire department is you're allowed to grow the mustache, but the respect and the admiration I have for the guys that are on the suppression side is like no other. I mean, they do a heck of a job, and they do a job that I specifically don't feel passionate about, but what they do is incredible. But my passion has always been, since that first day in EMT school, was the EMS side. And my goal has always been to be the best medic that I can, to provide the best clinical care that I can, and try to raise that care in those around me. And so I've been fortunate enough that I've had the opportunities to stay on the medical side and work in the fire service, but on a very strictly medical aspect. And to me, that's been just the best of both worlds. Again, the culture of the fire service is like no other. You don't get that anywhere else. But getting to stay on the medical side is great. And so when it came to flight, back in 2017, a buddy of mine, that he was another medic at the county fire department with me. We entered a paramedic competition at a conference out here in Southern California, and we were fortunate enough to do pretty well on it. And one of the managers from the Mercy Air, it's an air methods company over here, he found us afterwards, and he said, hey, do you guys do you have any interest in splitting a full-time position on one of our CBS community-based helicopter services out here in the high desert? And we said, yeah, we sure do. Very much yes. And so we were able to, we were, both him and I were still working in the fire department, and then working kind of part-time. We split a full-time shift, and did that for a while. And whatever you've made flight out in your head before you actually start flying, it's way cooler. It's way cooler than I had ever thought it in my head. Now, it's different. It's definitely, it's a different beast than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But it's 100% where I wanted to end up. I didn't know I wanted to end up here, but it's definitely where I wanted to end up. And so it's been a journey. It's been a process. Like I said, I came up to Big Bear in 2018 when we opened up our aviation division, actually, which is our birthday is in 5 days on the 14th of February.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, so
On
we're almost
Valentine's
there.
Day.
Yeah. Needless to say, my wife wasn't super thrilled that I was at work that day, but working the holidays is kind of the
Comes with the
name of the game.
territory. Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunately, she was understanding of that one, but it's been a journey to kind of get where I am, and I've been very fortunate that I've been surrounded by people that have pushed me to better myself, both clinically and professionally, and so just really thankful and fortunate to kind of end up where I am now. But it's been a journey, nonetheless.
It sounds like, Ken, I think a lot of people that are listening probably found themselves probably in the same boat starting out that as you were. I mean, I know I was, and Mike, you probably were too. Yeah. You're sitting in that class, you did your 5-minute research, and you're like, you know what, sounds kind of cool, right?
Yep.
I just remember too, well, like you said, if you have to have that passion to really want to like be on that medical side of the house, and I think for the people that as they come into this and you start to kind of go through the motions, and you're like, oh, man, I kind of really do enjoy this. I really want to see how far this goes. I think we are kind of that special breed, of really kind of pushing through, because, like you said, like people are like, who here wants to be a firefighter? And, a lot of people raise their hands, for that. That's always like kind of the stepping stone. That's kind of where EMS has really kind of been that like redheaded stepchild of things, but it's always there. We're always there. Right. And to continually come back and want to do it over and over it takes that special breed in person, right? Because if they start out the class with like, hey, how would you like to run your butt off, miss most of your meals, get zero sleep for low pay, and be unhealthy for like the first 10 years of your career? Who's going to go for that, right? like nobody.
When you sell it like that, man, how are they not knocking the doors down?
I know, right? But we keep coming back. Here we are because Ken, you just have that like hook, because you're like, man, I really get to make that difference. And I think for a lot of us, especially for our listeners, like you really get to get your hands in there and really make some pretty crucial, critical decisions. And we all wouldn't be in these positions if we didn't really care.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
No, but I mean, I think that goes towards one of the not concerns, but one of the challenges that I think our industry is going to have over the long term is retention and burnout and mental health and all the things that we're slowly starting to embrace as things that need to be addressed. If you were to stay on the same ambulance for 25 years, it would be very difficult to not get burned out at what you're doing. I mean, that's just the reality. So I think the challenge that we have for ourselves is how do we keep things fresh? How do we keep driving ourselves forward? And I think as an industry, we owe it to the future professionals in our industry to create the opportunities for people to continue advancing in their career. And we ask that question at the beginning of every class. We run 3 medic classes a year. Hey, who's here to get a job in the fire service? And the answer is still the majority, yes.
Sure.
but we see a number of people that are probably more hands than they used to be that want to go the flight side, that want to go the critical care side. We have a handful of hands that still go, but they're going nursing at some route at some point, and that's another conversation whether that's a good stop off on your way to nursing school. But everyone kind of has an opinion on that. But I mean, the number of hands that go up for PA now. We have a lot of people that are going the paramedic route, eventually going the PA route in the ERs. So I think having multiple avenues, I think, is really important to keep people in this industry, because if all we have is low pay, terrible working conditions, and emotional trauma that you'll never get to deal with, I have a hard time believing that we're going to have people really sticking around for the long haul. And so, so I think we owe it to ourselves as an industry to really develop the opportunity for people to keep developing in their career and want to stay and stick around.
Yeah, I hate to sit here and laugh about that, because it's at the end of the day, it's not funny. Like, that is an absolute problem that we need to fix. But
it is.
I laugh because at the same time, like, it is a truth for every single one of us that work in this career across the entire state. It's crazy to me that like, who would willingly sign up for all of that? But yet here we are.
Somebody who does 10 minutes of research,
right? Exactly.
Right.
After the girlfriend goes, "What are you going to do with your life?"
Yeah.
So,
and like, I never wanted to do this out there. Like, at the end, like, I wanted to do medical. I was like, oh, I'm going to go the pre-med route. I'm going to go the pre-med route. And in high school, I was like, this young, dumb 17-year-old kid that was like, oh, well, that'll look good on a resume. So, it was back then $25 for my EMT course to take that,
right.
Back in my day.
Sure.
And I fell in love with it. And it was something like, that was what I did on my weekends. It wasn't going out and hanging out with friends. I was at the ambulance company the whole time, and I was running shifts and I was getting my experience in, and I just, like, the EMS bug just bit me. And then I realized one day, I was like, I don't want to work this hard the rest of my life. And so I was like, all right, so I guess I'll I was in college and, trying to go the pre-med route, and that was not my route. I kind of fell in love with the nursing process more and went that route. But it's like, even then I started doing nursing and I loved nursing, but I still had that EMS bug, and I'm like, I still need to be back out there. And like, flight was something that I was always interested in. And it kind of took me down that path then to be able to combine both of those worlds and really kind of have that happy medium. Because I was not a fire department guy. You will not catch me running into a burning building. I will happily be waiting on the outside with your water and treats.
Rehab is a great assignment on the.
That's my favorite place to be.
Amen to that.
But I mean, I think what you said. I mean, everybody has their own path that they're going to take in this journey that is EMS. And I don't think I don't think there is one specific way to do it. I don't think that there's, you must do this and then you must do this and then you must do this. I think we can identify things that will help make you more successful along the way. But everybody's path kind of is unique, and I mean, I think that's what makes EMS kind of special. And I'm hoping that by the time I'm ready to retire, which is not yet, but which down the road, hopefully I'll have the opportunity to retire, that the industry is a little bit less of that redheaded stepchild, right?
Absolutely.
I'm a very big proponent in education, in terms of the more we can make, we can encourage our pre-hospital providers to drive their education forward. I think we see EMS get adopted into mainstream medicine a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker. So I think there's things that we can do to help drive to drive that forward. But it's going to be a challenge. And again, we do have snack rooms. Right, we got some great. I don't know about you guys.
Absolutely. We need to celebrate our wins.
A couple great snack rooms out there, and so we've got one snack. I don't know about you guys. You guys are both back east. We've got one snack room that's in Vegas that we get to every once in a while. That Vegas is a pretty long haul for us. It's not something we go to often, but But man, that snack room, I'll tell you what, they got the selection, the variety. It makes the 2 gas stops well worth getting out there for, because
Gosh,
there's
2 gas
something
stops.
there's something about some mildly chilled sushi out of a hospital break room that just hits the spot just
That
just
is
right.
very brazen right there. I don't know if I could do that.
Oh
Oof,
man,
that is living on the edge, especially when you got, a 4-hour ride back home. Then.
Yeah, a bit of a haul back. Yeah, life is like life's a gamble. What do you?
and if you're in Vegas,
Yeah.
put all the money on it, right?
Put it all
You
on
go
the line.
home.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I think you brought up like this awesome point where you said, like, from the EMS world, and even kind of crossing over into the HEMS world too, we're really starting to see such a greater need and use for pre-hospital clinicians, right? And so really seeing the involvement, into community paramedicine, especially a lot of flight programs, a lot of people are pushing, carrying blood products and, whole blood, things like that. There's been such a not turn around, but drive forward, right, to really involve pre-hospital care. And so if you could kind of talk about, a little bit more specifically to your area with the aviation side for Big Bear Fire, how were you guys able to identify what was kind of missing to kind of bring forward the care to kind of help where you guys were at geographically to get patients kind of where they need to go? Like you said, you had that one kind of small critical access hospital, but you can only do so much. And having such an influx of residents, that's got to throw some challenges at you.
No, so there are a couple pieces. So the big gap analysis that I think was found was on the transportation side. Is really, how do we facilitate the flow of patients effectively from, whether it's from the scene or whether it's from a hospital? How do we effectively get them to where they need to go? And so that gap showed that time is tissue, right? How many times can we say that? And it really is probably more true than it ever has been. So the gap that I think was first identified when the program was getting off the ground is, how do we get this air resource into the community, and how do we do it in a cost-effective way? Because there's nothing cheap about helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we facilitate all that? And so what was thought up at the time is this public-private partnership where the public or the private agency, in this case Mercy Air, an air methods company, came in and they provided the aviation support, and the big piece is the clinical oversight. And so the fire department then provided the paramedics, and so we function, the fire department paramedics all function under the direction of the Air Methods medical direction and patient care guidelines and all that clinical oversight. And so what we have is a resource in the area, the air resource, and we're in a Bell 407. That if the fire department went out on its own to do, would be a probably unlikely thing to occur, because first of all, you can't just have one helicopter; you have to have 2, because one's always going to be broken. That's just how helicopters work.
How it works.
And so going out on the fire department's own probably wasn't going to be a real likely success story.
Mm-hmm.
And so partnering up with a private company that has obviously a lot of experience in the HEMS environment was kind of the magic sauce, if you will, right? So it's that partnership that I think allows us to bring this resource to the Big Bear Valley. And so prior to, there are a number of community-based helicopters in the greater Southern California area that all have, between 20 to 30 minute response times up into Big Bear. Mm-hmm. And so traditionally our Grand Ambulance would, take the patient to the LZ and wait. And wait. And by us now being up there, it allows that care to be expedited that much faster.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
So we're at field elevations 6,500 feet. And so there's a lot of times that there's weather down below us that people can't get up to, but we can at least get somewhere from up there. And so being located up in the valley, it gives us further transport opportunities. And again, all of this is to facilitate this gap, and how do we get patients off the hill faster to where they need to go. And so, and I think the last piece of that is when we are unable to fly. Icing conditions are usually the most common reason that we can't fly.
Right.
And so, and we're a VFR only program, so obviously there's some aspects of that too. But
Sure.
when we can't fly, we commandeer one of our ground ambulances, and we unload the helicopter into the ground ambulance, and we'll facilitate a critical care transfer by ground to just get the patient where they need to go. And fundamentally, that's why we're here. We are a cog in the wheel of moving patients to where they need to be, so they can get that level of treatment that's required. And so, this partnership that is between the privates and the public and the hospital has allowed to really fill that gap of the transport side of it that we were missing. Because of that partnership with Air Methods, we were able to, and because we follow all their clinical guidelines, we were able to introduce blood products and whole blood before everybody else in the region. And
That's
so,
awesome.
and that was, that was an absolute game changer, as everyone well knows. OPA's whole blood is kind of the hopefully the way of the future that everybody's kind of going. And so we've been carrying blood products on the helicopter for a good number of years now. And it started with packed cells, and then and liquid plasma, and then it generally has trended towards the whole blood side. And so we're able to bring some additional therapies because of our partnership with the public or with the private agencies that we might not have had the opportunity otherwise. As you guys, I'm sure, know, blood programs as a whole are a whole nother beast. And so being able to leverage that partnership has been great, and has opened up some additional opportunities for us to serve the community.
Now, if I recall, Blake, you, I think, have a relatively similar system as far as kind of the joint between, like, either the county or the department, along with
Air Methods.
We're
Air Methods, pretty much almost like the same identical makeup. And I can tell you, man, from if you're a taxpayer, and when you're looking at things and times get tough, cost of living, everything is pretty high, and the last thing people want to hear is, how much do I got to pay for this? Like, will I even use it? And so I think it's really great that, you have companies out there, like you said, that are out there. They're doing it. They've been doing it for a while. They've really tried to hone in what's best for those communities. Right. And I think, where I'm at, it's a pretty urban setting.
Sure.
We do have some rural areas that are further away, but I can tell you, man, like, when we go out to, and I'm sure you can vouch for that, you go into a lot more rural areas, you really see a gap. And I think that is probably the biggest thing that was such an eye opener, at least when I started flying, Ken. And maybe you had that same thing, is like, to be able to fill those void and gaps and get people that live pretty far out. And when you're like, man, who would live out here? And you're like, someone that would drink like 4 beers and use a chainsaw on a Saturday night. Sounds like a great thing to do, So, and you're like, there's such a need, though.
No, and I mean, we are based in a rural area, and our first due area goes into a significantly more rural area. All the dry lake
Even
beds,
further.
the desert to the north of us. And actually, I think it just wrapped up yesterday. We have one of the biggest off-road races in the southwestern United States called King of the Hammers. Takes place out on the dry lake beds, and I mean,
Nice.
they build a whole city out there, and we every year have an opportunity to service out there, and I think is across the country. I mean, and this is coming from Southern California, where I mean, in most of Southern California, you can throw a rock and hit 3 different hospitals. But in a lot of the country, that's not the case.
Right.
These critical access hospitals are being stretched thinner and thinner and thinner,
Mhm.
and that's where I think this HEMS world is really going to continue to play a really important role, because some of these patients are having to go further and further to get that care, because what they have are just a reduced level of resources locally available to them.
But I think that's what's so cool is comparing type of system. Well, you're the makeup or the composition of what your program Ken, and what your program is, Blake, as far as, the joint ventureship between the public and private sectors to be able to make that happen. Yet the needs of those communities are vastly different, but it's because of that relationship that you have with those those public sectors that know the area, that know the landscape, that know the challenges that are there, have a familiarity with all of the general population itself and what it's going to take to get these people safely from point A to point B. I mean, Ken, talking through what your geography is like, and I can't imagine having to start off the call with chains on the truck.
They have to get out and
stop
take them off
halfway through to then take
yeah.
them off and go with the rest of the transport. Like that to me, like that's kind of crazy. But you guys have that ability in that system, and knowing what as being firefighters and being EMS clinicians in that valley already, partnered with a large organization, allows you guys to be able to have that expertise on what's going to be the best option for those patients and for that community. And that's really cool.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. What makes programs like this successful, and Blake, you can probably feel this the same way, is that it's a joint venture to make it successful. I think it does take the subject matter experts in each. So the fire department knows the community really, really well.
Mhm.
Some of these large private organizations know clinical care really, really well. And so being able to join those together makes us able to offer some of these services a little bit more efficiently. You don't have a department that's trying to reinvent the wheel. You don't have a private organization that's trying to understand the community when you've got a fire department that's been embedded with it for many,
Mhm.
many, many years. And so rather than try to build something from scratch, when you can partner with other organizations, man, it just makes all the sense in the world.
And it really helps the community because the hottest topic is money. Like you said, aviation is expensive and it's just crazy. You're like, oh, door handle for my Honda Civic, $20. Door handle for Bell 407, $800, or 8,000, whatever it is, just insane.
Yeah. It is, and so our fire chief at the time, because those questions came up when this program was getting off the ground, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were getting this program going, that was the question from the public was, hey, we are a small department. How do we afford this? And so the fire chief made it very, very clear that the program is designed to not be a draw on the department's financial resources. And that is, and that was one of the big things that they talked about at the very beginning, and said it quite loudly and publicly, because a lot of people want to, I mean, they know how expensive helicopters are. Like,
Right.
they want to make sure that that their financial resources are being used wisely, and it makes all the sense of the world. And I think being able to partner with a private provider has enabled that to happen.
Sitting here talking and listening to you talk about the system itself, because I find it very interesting living in Pennsylvania, where we've got a trauma center, in every corner. We've got a helicopter in every corner. We do have our small community hospitals and our critical access centers that we go to on a very regular basis. But most of what we're doing is interfacility transports. We're not doing the scene work anymore. One, because of the amount of aircraft that are in the area. Two, because of all the trauma centers and heart centers and stroke centers that are around the area. So for me, it's hard to envision being in a community where there is one critical access hospital and nothing else around, right?
Sure.
So it's like, how does, I'm sure that this was a service that, while obviously it's much needed, like listening to what things are like in your area, what's your breakdown? Because I'm sure there has to be education on the EMS side, education on the hospital side, and a partnership between all of that to be able to make this work well. Like, what's your breakdown between scene calls versus interfacility stuff? And did you notice a shift in how the patients were being cared for because of having this extra resource and being able to get them out quicker or in a different way?
Sure. So, we fluctuate because we're so seasonal in terms of the population into the valley. We kind of ebb and flow between I would say is as high as 70% interfacility, 30% scene, to probably as close to 50-50 during the real high the high tourism kinds of time of the year. And so we are, like I think most flight programs, probably a little heavier on the interfacility side, generally speaking, and then the scene volume does change. So what we've seen change is, with us being local into the valley itself there, we certainly, the guys aren't waiting on the ground for helicopters to arrive, which is great, because EMS in California is a funny beast. We are all EMS. The ground EMS is all kind of governed by local EMS agencies that are able to develop their own policies and protocols when it comes to treatment. And so treatments on the ground are oftentimes limited, especially when it comes to things like airway and pharmacologically managing airways and things like that. And so some of the decisions that would have to be made prior to, especially we do a lot of head trauma, just TBI central, because the snowboarding and skiing and trees and gravity and there's a theory of gravity that we prove true on a regular basis.
We try to disprove it, but
it's funny how we all try to be like, what, I should totally go snowboarding as a 43-year-old dude that's never done it. I should totally do that.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Valor Flight Crew Podcast. A big thank you to Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Department for sharing his perspective from the aviation side of their mission, reminding us that whether it's a small mountain town or a major metro system, strong partnerships between ground and air crews make all the difference when seconds count. Conversations like this highlight what truly drives the industry forward: trust, communication, and a shared commitment to getting patients to the right care at the right place at the right time. From the realities of retention and burnout to the promise of safe mission outcomes in sometimes austere environments, it all comes back to people, the crews, communities, and the patients we serve. We hope you enjoyed learning about other helicopter air ambulance services across the country just as much as we did. Be sure to like and share with your crews, and make sure you tune in next week for more stories that promote the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Be safe, everyone, and we'll see you all next time on the Valor Flight Crew Podcast.